Nope, the planet is still very hairy. People keep saying that it's very important that we all work together to shave the planet. And I've got these hair clippers, and I'm really trying, but it's so hard. The planet is just too hairy. What's that? Not shave the planet? Save the planet? Oh no, well that's even harder. How am I meant to do that? Oh, amazing. 100 ways to save the planet. Everything you need to know to become a green superhero. What an absolutely brilliant book this is by Tom Jordan and fantastically illustrated by Joshua Rice. Wow! Tips on how to grow your own vegetables, how to organise a school seed bank, make a bird box and even learn to sew, and so much more. This is so useful. All these things are really easy to do and they look loads of fun, but I just don't think I can save the planet all by myself. That is a lot. Oh, I see. This book's available to buy at all good bookshops. And if they stock this, then they definitely are good bookshops. So you can all go and get a copy too, and together we can save the planet together. But I will just finish this bit first, as otherwise, it looks untidy. What? That's a bear? Uh-oh. You are listening to Comedy Club for Kids presents Radio Nonsense, Radio Nonsense, Radio Nonsense, Radio Nonsense, Radio Nonsense. Hello and welcome to Radio Nonsense, the official Comedy Club for Kids podcast that's suitable for all ages from 2 and everything in between. I'm Tiernan, and I thought it would be nice this week, listeners, to try and describe Comedy Club for Kids HQ to you. I realise that some of you might have been listening to this show for 70 or even 80 or even 143 years, and you've probably still got no idea what this place looks like, do you? I mean, I know I've given you a guided tour before, but it's not really the same as sort of accurately describing the place that this is recorded in. I mean, for all you know, I could be recording Radio Nonsense from inside a huge vat of jelly. I mean, I don't, because that would be awful. It would be really sticky. But also, I mean, I could be lying about that. Maybe I am. I mean, I could also be talking to you right now from the back of a yak that is carrying me across the Gobi Desert. I mean, I'm definitely not, because that would sound sort of more like this, wouldn't it? Hello and welcome to Radio Nonsense, Mongolian death worm. So yeah, doesn't sound like that, and I'm not on the back of a yak. But I should tell you what this place is actually like. So where shall I start? I'll start with this room. Okay, well this room is the colour of... Oh no, I can't actually see anything. Have my eyes gone on strike? Linda, do you replace Comedy Club for Kids HQ with a very dark cave? This is very scary indeed. Hang on, let me put my torch on. Nope, that's not a torch. Ah, there's my torch. Good. Okay, by using this light, I think it seems like there has been a power cut here at Comedy Club for Kids HQ, so I can't really describe anything to you because I can't see it. I'm also not really sure how I'm going to do anything at all when the only light I have is this torch. And that's now run out of batteries. Let me see if I can use an ancient technique that I learnt off a monk called Gregory Parmesan, where you can just use your mind to see everything. Hang on. See with my mind, please, Gregory. No, now all I can see are the sandwiches I've been thinking about all day. Not helpful. Maybe I can smell what's in this week's mailbag. Where is it? Nope, that's not the mailbag. Ah, here you go. So this says... Yeah, no, I really can't read it. I am going to have to definitely try and smell this. Ah, great. So this letter smells... Hello, Tiernan, me, Bob Jiffleton, and our 346733577433 seconds old. Also, me have made a discovery. Linda is actually Nan on the Listies Make You Lolcast. Also, joke. Why did the boy fall over? His mum pushed him. Here, have 67 stinky greyhounds. Oh, no, I don't want 67 stinky greyhounds, thank you very much. No, go outside. Oh, yeah, they can't see where outside is. That's a problem. But okay, thanks, Bob Jiffleton. And Interesting that you think Linda is Nan on the Listies Make You Lolcast, which I love so very much. That would mean that Linda is Matt and Rich's Nan. But that would also mean that she actually turns up to do one podcast, and that's very un-Linda. Maybe they are the same, though, or even related. I will have to find out. I'll see if I can get the Listies back on this show so that I can ask them. And also, Bob, you added a question which I haven't read out because I've added it to the question pile, wherever it is. No, that's not it. I will add it to the question pile when I can, though. And thank you for your brilliant, brilliant joke, too. And don't forget, listeners, that if any of you out there want to send in anything at all, whether it's a joke, a question that needs to be answered, or just the best ways to do things when it's completely dark, then all you have to do is find your nearest piffle grunks, grown-ups, and get them to help you email me at podcast@comedyclub4kids.co.uk. And if those same grown-ups would like to help support this show, they can sign you up to the advert-free Linda edition for a small monthly fee on Apple Podcasts, Acast Plus, Spotify, or patreon.com/Comedy Club for Kids. And don't forget to check out comedyclubforkids.co.uk for all of our live shows around the UK too. Okay, now I know somewhere around here is the... No. Also no. Yes, the most importantest bit. You have a listen while I try to get the lights back on.
Blackouts this summer. Yay.
Back once again on Radio Nonsense, it's the amazing Thom Tuck, aka Tom, whose entire body is made up of perfect polygons, aka Double T, the master of using only one ski, and as all of our listeners who are strange swamp monsters know, Tom, pass the worms, please. But of course, Tom, you are very well known for your efforts to help teach onions to stop making people cry all the time, for your star role as a stand-in pygmy hippo at London Zoo when theirs was on holiday, and most famously for your best-selling recipe book called Anything Can Be Soup If You Blend It All Up. Yes, even your homework. Tom, it's so great to have you back. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. And I didn't know that the pygmy hippo news was out there.
Was I not meant to reveal that?
I thought I was so successful that no one noticed.
Well, you were. This is. I was only because I was going through your acting CV, and I noticed it was on there. I thought I think it's a very remarkable thing that you've done, but I haven't seen it officially announced. Have I just breached a contract of some sort?
Well, I was actually in character as the pygmy hippo when they asked me to sign the contract, so I don't think it's actually valid. So. Yeah, let's tell them.
Oh, that's very good. That's very good. I do have to ask, how do you sign anything when you are a pygmy hippo? Is it quite hard to hold a pen, or?
Oh yes. What I did is I wallowed, as is pygmy hippos, and indeed all hippos want. I wallowed in some ink and then rolled on the bottom of the contract.
Ah, that's fantastic. And so sort of gave them a bum/back print as an autograph.
And as of course everyone knows, every pygmy hippo's back and bum is completely individual, like a thumbprint.
Right. Is that... I didn't realise that at all. And so that's how people identify pygmy hippos generally, is it?
Yes, especially if they've committed crimes.
Right, of course, which happens all the time. I mean, they're so sort of small and adorable that I guess they get away with quite a lot.
Yes, they can squeeze into small spaces and steal anything that will fit in their mouths.
Right. It sounds very typical. I mean, I do have to ask, did you have to get a specific, sort of specifically designed back and bottom for your own individual autograph, or did you borrow a sort of another pygmy hippo's one?
Well, I just acted it. I acted so hard that my bum and back resembled a pygmy hippo's bum and back.
That is absolutely remarkable. I say this, obviously, I shouldn't be surprised. You've done this many times before. You are an expert and not only a master of disguise, but a master of imitation. How many animals and indeed, famous monuments or people have you imitated so far?
I think the count is into the tens of thousands if you include kitchen implements.
Oh my goodness! I hadn't realised you'd been kitchen implements before. And is that where have you been kitchen implements in famous kitchens or?
No, mainly just standard kitchens. When they're showing the property for people to come and live in, if they don't actually have a microwave yet, they can just hire me to sit in the corner and go.
That was very microwave-like. I'm very impressed. Of course it is. Of course it is. You're a professional. Do you heat up? Like, have you ever had an awkward situation where someone has sort of put some food in you to heat it up, and how have you managed that?
Well, of course, they have to press the buttons to get the correct settings.
Temperature.
But
Yeah.
I only put up the sign that says defrost, so I don't actually have to get that hot.
Oh, that's
it,
very clever.
It does mean I occasionally have to have like bags of frozen peas by my belly for quite a while whilst I make the noise.
Yes, which uncomfortable, but probably quite soothing as well.
Yes, the key is not to shiver, because then that really ruins the noise. You know, if you go from
Yes.
to it sounds like the microphone's malfunctioning.
That's you've got a lot of responsibility on you there, because who wants to buy a new home with a malfunctioning microwave? It's not
Exactly.
like you can just get a new one. Yeah, exactly. That's very tricky. What about some of the? Are you only the sort of electronic utensils? Do you go for any of the? Have you ever been a spatula or a classic wooden spoon?
It's more difficult with those, I have to say, because of the lack of noise. And I really find that the getting the voice of the character really helps portray it realistically.
I see it, because they have they do have noises. I suppose if you were to drop one on the floor, or you were to play one as part of a band routine, or you were to sort of twang one against a friend or colleague's head, it would make a sound.
Yes, I mean, ideally you'd have a colleague who is being a frying pan, and then my imitation of a spatula can really come into its own.
Yes, I see. But you need to. So that's one of those jobs you have to do with someone else. It has to be a team effort.
Yeah, I mean, it's the
all play
classic
your
double
part.
act.
Yeah, of course. Yes, spatula and pan, and it's. You know what? I feel sad that I haven't seen it really about for quite some time, or maybe I have, and they've been so good I wasn't aware.
Yes, think on, my friend, think on.
Oh my goodness! This is remarkable. I mean, have you got an ideal role? What's your dream role that you haven't played yet?
Ooh, I'd love to be a stand mixer.
Oh wow! The ones with the sort of whirry whisks in.
That's exactly it.
Two
Yes,
whirry whisks.
2 whirry whisks, a good bowl, and a retractable head.
That's quite impressive. Are your legs the whisks, your arms the whisks, or should I? How does that work?
The hands.
The hands?
Like that. I don't know if you can see that.
Wow.
Yes. But good visual demonstration for a podcast.
It was fantastic, and to describe to listeners, to really help you imagine how Tom used his hands as whisks. Then Tom made his hands like whisks. Hopefully that will help you visualize it. It was very good, very realistic, and I suppose it's that thing for me, a bit like I struggle to do that kind of rubbing my tummy while patting my head, but you there had whisks going at different directions at the same time, and that didn't seem to be a problem.
Yes, it depends what you want to mix. I think as well, because you could put just the big one head in. You know, if you're perhaps mixing a batter.
Yes, which I mean, you'd want to do. Who wouldn't want to mix a batter?
I mean, no cake without batter.
Exactly. That is the famous phrase, as I believe said by John Cake quite some years ago. And you're right to bring it up. That's the sort of professional that you are, Tom. So, well, it's great. And since the hippo job, which we weren't meant to know about, and obviously I am sorry for potentially ruining another hippo's contract by bringing it up. Have you been busy? Have you been acting since that job, or have you been pursuing other things?
I've actually been auditioning for various zoos. London Zoo asked me back, potentially to cover the Tamandua, who was
lovely.
Yes, a sort of South American anteater who climbs.
Right. It's a lot on your plate there, yeah.
Yes,
yeah.
I mean, because you have to use all 4 limbs as the 4 limbs of the character, obviously.
Sure.
But what to do for the proboscis? And that's where costume comes in. A simple bit of vacuum cleaner hose.
Right. Is that all it takes? Well, that's remarkable. That's remarkable, because I suppose it's all in the kind of confidence of the performance that we just sort of go with that.
And also your ability to snort ants through the hose.
Yes, of course. Is that a pleasant experience?
I have to say no. No,
Right.
it hurts quite a lot. And I think that may be why they haven't called me back yet. I
I
kept
see.
going,
Did
oh,
you?
ants in my nose.
Right. Yes. Yeah, I can imagine that is really uncomfortable. They're not. Are they little harmless ants or are they big old stingy bitey ants?
Big old stinky bitey ants, yes, South American ones,
Mm,
yes.
yeah. Yeah. Yes.
Otherwise, it just wouldn't be believable. People would look down and say, oh, that very believable tamandua there seems to be snorting British ants. That can't be right.
Yes, that is fair. That is fair. It must be very hard. I never sort of think about this, but that animals such as the tamandua, what do they do when they go on holiday if they can't get hold of the ants they usually eat? Are they having to
They usually
change ants, go for different
they
species, or
usually take freeze dried ones, but it's legal to
oh,
take them across borders, of course. So what they do is they hide them in raisin packets.
right, right. Okay, that makes sense. That makes a lot of sense. Yeah, because I mean, how would you tell? I wouldn't be able to tell.
Oh,
Basically the same thing, isn't it?
if the ants are speaking Spanish, it's a real giveaway.
Right, right. I see. That's it. That's it. And that's on me once again for not listening to my raisins, which is a common mistake that I've made many times
Yes,
before.
do check your
Oh,
raisins for legs. Do check your raisins for legs.
yes, it's very, very important. Very important thing to do. I mean, it's a joy, a professional like yourself coming on this show to kind of to explain this sort of information to us. And I don't think our listeners have ever had a kind of insight into this level of acting ever before, actually.
Well, that's very nice of you to say, and I hope I'm inspiring the next generation of actors. If you're listening to this now, why not pause it and just pretend to be an animal for a bit?
That's lovely. That's a lovely idea. But you don't want them taking your work, do you? I mean, you'd hope they don't, or you're not afraid of that. You think you're at the top level.
Well,
It's
I think most of the listeners to this will be in a different age bracket to me. So obviously, I
sure.
played the baby pygmy hippo, and only as a last resort because there weren't enough child animal impersonators out there.
Right. I see. I see. So
Ha- ha-
ideally, you could go back to playing older pygmy hippos
Exactly.
when
Ex-
the new. Yeah, that makes perfect sense. And I guess also the more we talked about team efforts before. The more that there are of you, the more you can go in and be an entire family of squirrel monkeys.
Squirrel
At
monkeys,
a moment's
a
notice.
pack of gibbons, perhaps.
Yes, that's lovely. Why are they called a pack? Do they come in a box, or is that?
And
Am I
there
am I
are
wrong there?
usually between 52 and 54 of them.
Right, I see. I see. And is that
And there are four.
so?
And there are
It
four
depends on the pack.
kings,
4 kings and two jokers.
two jokers. But sometimes they will get lost.
Yes, that is normally the case. Yeah, yeah. Well, I didn't realize I've never bought a pack of gibbons myself, but it's something I will. Again, much like listening to the raisins, I will look out for gibbons next time I'm in the shops. Yeah, normally on a high shelf, I assume.
Yes, they like to swing from high shelf to high shelf.
Yes, right. Well, I will look out for that next time I go through the aisles. Thank you, Tom. Listen, and I'm very grateful that you have time to be on the show today. As you know, you've been here before. I've got a question that you are the person I think that can answer it. But I've got a couple of admin questions for you first. How do you
Of
feel
course.
about that?
Well, I mean,
Yeah, is that okay?
there's no fun without admin.
Is that right? Is it actually impossible to have fun without any admin at all?
Yeah, I believe so. If you haven't filled out a form, it's probably not fun.
That's true, isn't it? I'm trying to think of any sort of, even if you go to a big old theme park, you still got to buy a ticket, and that's admin, isn't it?
It is. You've got to queue. That's admin.
That's admin. Yeah.
Even if you
play a board game,
you're playing board
read
game,
the
you've
rules.
got to abide by the rules. That's admin. If you're playing football,
admin.
you've got to abide by the laws of the game. That's admin.
Yeah, wow. You've really changed my perspective on admin. Actually, I hadn't. I mean, obviously we have to do admin on this show, but I never really thought it was a fun thing. But now I realise it's the gateway to fun.
It is indeed. That's what they say. It's a slippery slope to fun.
So it's a fun, right? Okay, sure. So it's
more like a slide.
That's interesting. Yeah, because I was going to say it's quite straightforward admin normally, rather than panicky and slope-like.
You've made me change my feelings on admin.
So, does that mean you're still in favour of admin, or you're not in favour of admin?
I'm just about in favour of admin, but I think we should make the admin itself fun. That's a foolproof
that's
fun,
very
I think.
obvious. Okay, but then my fear is if you make the admin fun, will it lead to not fun?
I tell you what, it might lead to. It might lead to more admin to get to the fun admin,
Right.
and then you
Well,
would have to make the pre-admin. We'd have to make the pre-admin fun, and then we'd have to have the pre-admin.
and then you find yourself just doing admin for years and years on end and never actually having fun
It's an infinite loop
of admin, which is horrific, isn't it? Although it does sound like quite a lot of grown-up jobs I have heard about before. Maybe they're all just seeking to, at some point in their lives, have fun and never getting there.
Well, that's a happy note.
Yeah, it is. If you will be an accountant, I guess that's what life holds for you. Tom, listen, I've got these 2 bits of admin. I hope they are fun, or at least preempt the fun that then is coming. In my opinion, I say this to every guest, but I think the first question is easier, the second question is a bit harder, but you may find it different, and you take your time with both of these. It's important that they get answered properly. So the first one, Tom, quite simply, is what is this?
This is all there is. This is all there is. This is the totality of existence. It's everything you can think of. A hat, a little fox, 7 bottles of wee. This is everything.
Wow! It's all of it, all at once. I mean,
everything all at once.
I suppose. Am I okay with that? I suppose part of me thought there'd be a bit more, like at least there might be a sandwich.
No, but there is. There's a hat, there's a fox, there's 7 bottles of wee, there's a sandwich, there's a leprechaun ringing a little bell. There's a there's a kangaroo stealing candy off a grandma.
That's awful. Why did the kangaroo do that?
Well, it wanted a new use for its pouch.
Oh, okay. Fill it with candy. Actually, considerably better use than most kangaroos would. Yeah, okay. I've changed my mind on the kangaroo. So this is everything. This is everything there ever is, and all of it all at once. That's it's quite a lot, isn't it?
It's a lot to take in. Yes.
Yeah. What's the best way? Just focus on a couple of bits at a time?
Yes, I find it almost impossible to understand what's going on unless I just think about the things I can currently see.
Right. Which at the moment are, of course, Fox and the bottles of wee. And,
yes,
yeah.
and so what you need to do is you need to move through the world and see more of it.
Right, but not too fast, because then you wouldn't be able to, because it would be a bit blurry.
You can train yourself to be better at taking the information from your eyes and ears and other senses. But if you move too fast, it can be overwhelming. Similarly, if you move too slow or just sit in a corner looking at the wall, you probably won't get anywhere.
I see. That's tricky. What do you think about, like, I don't know if you've been in a situation, but sometimes if you get on a train, your seats are facing the opposite direction to the way the train is travelling in, and then you have to take in everything backwards. Is that a good way to do it?
Well, it's why I always carry a little handheld mirror with me.
Right, of course.
People think it's because I'm touching up my makeup, and sometimes I am, but mainly it's so I can check things the right way round.
That's fantastic. That's a fantastic idea, and really we should all be carrying mirrors, not only because you can check everything, but also then you can see who around you is a vampire or not by their lack of reflection. So it's a useful tool at the best of times.
And look round corners.
Even better. Look round corners for vampires or for things that you should be taking in. Wow, I mean, that's really impressive. How many things do you think you've taken in overall, Tom? Have you taken in quite a lot? Are you pretty aware of things?
I think we're into the something like 5.8 billion things.
Wow. That's. Do you keep a list or?
I keep a detailed spreadsheet. Yes.
Right. Okay. That's fantastic. Dating back to being just a few weeks old, or have you started this relatively recently?
It was paper and pencil when I was that young.
Right, of course.
But yes, I learned to use the spreadsheet app on the computer when I was 2.
Of course, that makes sense. That makes sense, and I hope you entered all those previous paper and pencil entries in there for a complete chart. But yeah, I understand that would be quite a boring bit of admin before any of that fun happens. Yeah.
Yes, of course, when you've got the data in there, you can interrogate it and make it do graphs, and that's fun.
Oh my goodness, my goodness. What's your favorite type of graph?
I would say the pie chart.
Me too. Me too. It's a pie.
Yeah.
You can look at it, then eat it.
And you can look at the data you put into your spreadsheet and go, what slice of all the things I've seen have actually been pies?
Wow, a pie chart with pies in it.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, that's deep. Or possibly not a deep pie. It might be who knows what type of pie. A pie would be. It'd be quite a deep pie, I guess, full of pies.
Or could just be a flan.
Could be a flan pie.
And as you pointed out in the introduction, I've been engaged in letting everyone know that everything is soup. So the pie chart for soup is just one big circle. Everything I've ever seen is potential soup.
That's amazing. And have you had to draw a small bowl around that circle to show that it is also soup?
No, but I have drawn a spoon next to it.
That's nice. That's nice. Which I suppose, by your account, is then also soup.
Yes, you have to get metal spoons quite hot before you can turn them into spoon soup.
Yes, and I was going to say probably not that tasty, but it could be. I mean, I don't know. Tricky one. Better than ants? What would you say? You prefer spoon soup or ants?
I would say ants are tastier in the mouth than they are up the nose, but spoon soup beats them both hands down.
Wow. Well, that is quite the review. That is really quite the review. I should try it. I will attempt to do. I have blended, since reading your book, I have blended quite a lot of things I wasn't expecting to blend. Shoes. Had a lovely shoe soup the other day. It was great on a frosty morning.
Leather.
Really warm. Leather. Yes, and of course. I mean, it just sort of seemed right to do that. I've had a soap soup. Can't say I loved that, but it was sort of nice and bubbly.
What you want to do is sprinkle some coriander on any soap soup you have.
I knew it was missing something. It smelled lovely, and but the flavour wasn't right. That must be what.
But how clean your mouth will have been.
So clean. I did fart and burp bubbles for a good while afterwards, and
that's fun.
It was. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it every time. So, yeah, it was good. And that's all down to your book. So thank you very much.
You're welcome. And it is available from all bad bookshops.
Yes, indeed, all bad, and I believe some chaotic neutral bookshops as well. Is that correct?
Yes. The ones that don't really plan.
Yes, that's correct. Yeah, the ones that don't have admin, but do occasionally have fun.
Yes.
Yes, I'm not sure how that works, but it's well. I mean, listen, Tom. Thank you. You answered that question superbly, actually, and I'm really pleased that I'm suddenly worried I haven't been making a list, and it's going to take me quite a while to really go back through everything that I've seen.
Well, of course, I was inspired by Father Christmas.
Oh, sure. Which I mean is very impressive because he must have seen a lot of stuff. And then he makes a list and checks it twice. That's very time consuming. Yeah, very time consuming. Yeah, very impressive. Goodness, I never thought about that. Well, listen, thanks, Tom. Thank you for answering question number one. I'm going to give you question number two. I hope you feel okay about this one. It's tricky. I think it's hard, but see how you go. Tom, would you rather have constant brain freeze or that every chair you sat down on became an ejector seat?
Oh, now there's one key question here.
Mm-hmm.
Do I get the brain freeze from eating ice cream? Does this mean I'm constantly eating ice cream?
That's a very good question. It doesn't specify it in this admin question. It just says you have constant brain freeze. So we could assume that it is because of you constantly doing something that causes that brain freeze.
And the second key question is, does the ejector seat have a button?
Because then you wouldn't automatically eject.
Yes, and if you automatically eject, I think that's more akin to a trampoline than an ejector seat.
That's a good point. That's a good point. I mean, again, there's no details here, so we can assume it has a button. We can't necessarily assume that you would have control of that button.
Mm. Is it perhaps like one of those very slow ejector seats they give to grandparents?
Right, yes. They just very slowly sort of tip you out, like it doesn't want you anymore. Yes.
Sorry, just a bit of acting there.
It was very good. It was very good. And for listeners, if you had trouble visualizing what Tom was doing there, he basically acted as though he was being tipped off a seat. So I hope that helps you. Hope that helps you out with your imagination there. Yeah, I always felt like those were, because ejector seats, the way I imagine them, is a sort of real like boing, and then you're thrown into the sky, and then there's a parachute. Those ones that the elderly people have are really like the chairs going, ugh, go away. And it's a bit more, I find it a bit more offensive.
Yes, I think because you said it's every chair,
Hmm.
and we're assuming it's not one of the slow grandparent ejector seats, that it is one of the proper boingers.
Yes. We're assuming, yeah.
Then I am going to choose the brain freeze, because a lot of the seats I sit down in are in places with roofs.
Oh.
And
okay.
I don't think
So
I would survive being shot repeatedly into the ceiling.
Yeah, that would hurt. How would you feel about it if every time you sat in a seat, it's an eject seat, and also a little sort of window in the roof opened up for you to fly through? Would that make it
Okay,
different?
so it now means I can only go into rooms with skylights.
Yes, that's correct.
Okay,
that's correct.
then,
But
then I'm in.
Well, you say that. I mean, what if you're in a room and there's a room above it, but the little thing opens and then you'd fly into the room above?
I mean, it'd be a quick way to get to bed.
That would be fantastic.
If indeed your bedroom is upstairs from the seat you sat down in.
Yes, that's it. So you just have to be careful about which ones you sit in.
And could I use the hatch going from downstairs to upstairs? Could I use it the other way around in the morning?
You could position a chair. Couldn't you position a chair so that it aims downwards, and then you sit in it and it would fire you?
So you'd have to strap
downwards.
a chair to the ceiling, then climb up on a ladder.
Yes.
Sit in it with a seatbelt, and then press the button and shoot you back downstairs.
I think so. Yes. Assuming again that you have control of the button, which you might not.
I might not. Well, tentatively, button dependent, I am going to choose the ejector seat.
Wow, that was quite a quick turnaround. So yeah, I mean, that's interesting. It does sound fun, but the ice cream every day did sound pretty great too. But you would also have to eat ice cream all the time, constantly, 24/7. And I think there would come points when you'd think, actually, could I go to bed now?
Yes, and maybe you could just have an ice cream, sit on the seat, shoot up to bed.
Yes, I should also check. Do you get brain freeze? Because I know someone that doesn't get brain freeze, which is something that has shocked and upset me ever since.
Do you know what might be the case with them?
What's that?
They might not have a brain. You do need a brain.
Right.
You need a brain to get brain freeze.
Right.
It's like It's like you can't have a sore ankle if you've got no legs.
Wow, you are so wise. Wow, that's really helped actually, and I think it explains quite a lot about that person now that you've brought that up.
Or they may just be missing the bit of the brain nearest to the face, which is where brain freeze occurs.
Sure. So it could just be rattling around at the back of their head.
Yeah, just the little tiny pea brain.
Right.
Just living at the back of the skull.
Yeah. That really explains it. And I mean, because then they could choose constant brain freeze option because they don't have a brain or a small brain. It wouldn't really affect them. So just eat ice cream all the time. Yeah. Wow. Well, I think very wise decision. I think, and you've got to, the thing with the ejector seat, I suppose it would bother me is if you were to say get on a bus and sit down, then suddenly you'd fly out of the bus and you think, well, now I have to get on another bus again. And that would become quite annoying, but you could always lie down on the bus and maybe that would help.
Yes, but remember, no lying down on the upper deck or stairs.
Oh, yeah, of course. Such spoil sports buses, aren't they?
Naughty buses.
All these rules. Yeah. Well, I guess you could crouch. There are other ways to be on a bus, aren't there?
Oh yeah, yes. You can pirouette.
Pirouette, perfect. That'd be a lovely way to get to travel on a bus, I think. So, yes. Well, I think you made a very sensible choice, and I hope it doesn't happen to you, but I hope if it does happen to you, that is the you get the option that you chose.
Well, if it does happen to me, I'm getting a helmet.
Very, very good. Very wise. Very wise. And I suppose you better hope it's an actual helmet, not one of your acting colleagues disguised as helmet. Otherwise, that's two of you flung into the ceiling, which would become pretty awkward.
Ah,
Yeah.
at least they provide some protection if they were playing the part well.
Very true. Very true. Very true. That should be part of the process. Well, listen, Tom. Thank you. You know that's all the admin done, and now to the fun bit, I guess. Which this question has been sent in from someone called Palpatine Boring, which I guess is evil Emperor Palpatine, but quite a dull version, maybe.
Yes, boring Emperor Palpatine. Palpatine second.
Yes, right, sure. So just sort of, instead of destroying the universe, they're just sort of, collecting stamps or
categorizing variations of the color grey.
Yeah. I mean, why not? Why not? I feel like all the Star Wars films would be probably a bit calmer if this Palpatine was in charge. Be a much more relaxed kind of adventure.
Yes, I hasten to say that it tends not to be much of an adventure if it's boring.
Yeah.
It's
that's
part
true.
of the definition of adventure, I find. Unboring.
Right, sure. Well, I mean, if anything, definitely, I'm sure he saved the rebels a lot of trouble by being boring. So, that's nice. Well, Palpatine Boring, despite being doing something very boring, they've asked a very interesting question. For some reason, they've started it by saying, "Me go happily sand," and then they say, "Why can't cheese talk?"
Well, it's obviously a question in two parts. Me go happily sand. This is obviously someone who goes to the beach often.
Yes.
And is pleased to. And perhaps it's on these beach excursions that they take a picnic. Take a little picnic.
Right.
And there's some cheese in the picnic. And they've noticed that the cheese isn't communicating with them.
Wow.
And dare I say it, they might have forgotten that cheese is afraid of the beach.
Wow. Is that right?
Yes, if you talk to cheese in a more natural environment. Sorry, I'm just getting choked up by the sadness of the situation.
I can see you're getting very emotional. It's a very deep and important question.
Yes,
Yeah.
if you get a piece of cheese in its natural environment, say Red Leicester in Leicester, they'll happily chat away to you. Not that cheese is very interesting when it talks, but it can talk.
Right.
Little squeaky voices, most of them.
Right. What are their preferred topics of conversation? And then you say it's not very interesting, which might be ideal for Palpatine Boring here. Actually, you might really enjoy the boring conversations.
Hello. Could you possibly clean the inside of your fridge, please? That's obviously that was classic cheddar.
Right, of course, yeah, and also, I mean, that's a really annoying question because no one wants to clean a fridge. Why would you clean a fridge? That's awful.
Exactly, and listen here, cheesies. If you can't take pride in where you live, then how do you expect other people to come and just clean up your mess?
Wow, yeah, very good point. Obviously, that's right, because why does the fridge need cleaning? Oh, it's because there's bean cheese in it.
Bean cheese.
Bean cheese, which is a pretty awful type of cheese, or great type of cheese. I
grated
prefer the
type of cheese,
bean. Yes. Yeah.
Grated cheese is very, very annoying to listen to because each little strand of cheese becomes its own sentient being, and so you just get millions of little voices going. That's mozzarella, obviously.
Oh my goodness. Gosh, is that? I assume then. Well, if that was mozzarella, I assume Parmesan must be horrendous.
Not in the
It's
triangle
grated
form.
so small. Right, no, but when it's like tiny,
When
tiny
it's
little powdery.
yes. Put me on hot
Oh.
stuff. Put me on hot stuff. But like times a million.
That's awful. A much more gravelly voice than I expected. I mean, I'm quite impressed with
Well,
that. Yeah.
it is a much harder cheese than the previous ones, and their voices
Yes.
tend to be equivalent to how hard they are. For instance, a brie, quite a soft cheese, and obviously French. No, deep stuff in me, like that.
Wow. Wow. That makes sense. That does make sense. I mean, I wonder if you can sort of, because you said that they don't talk on the beach, and is that, I mean, I guess Parmesan could very easily get lost on the beach among the sand.
Yes,
What
if
is
you're
there
if you're taking
other reasons?
if you're taking
Yeah.
cheese to the beach, please take them in as big a form as you can. A full wheel of Edam, a
Wow.
triangle of Parmesan. But yes, they can easily get lost when grated or sliced.
Right. And is that the? I mean, is that the only reason they don't like the beach? Is there something else that I'm missing here? I just, for me, I would have thought if I was going to have a picnic on the beach, yeah, you'd want to have cheese somewhere there.
Yes, I mean, what's a picnic without cheese? Just an outdoor lunch.
Well, exactly that. Yeah, it's a real waste of time. And yeah, so what's is but I feel like there's some sort of deep seated issue here between cheese and beach, and
Yes, and it's
not
crabs.
something I thought about. Right. And why is that?
Crabs love cheese. Crabs absolutely love cheese, and they'll do anything for it.
Well, anything.
Anything within their crabby powers.
Right, I see.
Yes,
So
they probably won't, write a new Shakespeare play.
Right, could you say, like, build me a shed? Could they do that?
Could crabs build you a shed? If you provide the driftwood, I reckon they could do it. Because
okay,
they're quite good team workers, and their claws double as hammers.
Okay, right. I'm just sort of checking like what I could, because now you've said this, knowing that they'll do anything for cheese. I've got some cheese in my home at the moment. I'm wondering, could I convince some crabs to do some stuff for me, and I can pay them in cheese.
Yes, the cheese will not like it.
I see. So the cheese doesn't want to be eaten by crabs.
Oh, did I say eaten? No, that's not what crabs do to cheese.
Oh.
No, they carve it into little cheesy sculptures.
Oh, well, that sounds beautiful.
Yes, but very, very painful for the cheese.
Sure.
Oh, you're cutting me.
Right. And does that not happen to them when we cut cheese for
yes,
sandwiches?
But if the cutting, you've got to imagine for cheese when we're doing it, is like the admin to the fun of being eaten.
I see. Whereas the crabs are, the whole thing is the cutting.
Yes, and they're just going to place them in a museum to let them be displayed until they're mouldy, and then they just get pushed into the sea.
Oh, that's awful. That is awful. Yes. Do any of the sea creatures then eat the cheese, or?
I don't believe enough research has been done on this. I wouldn't be wouldn't be surprised if a flounder or a narwhal took a nibble on a mouldy cheese sculpture. I just wouldn't.
It feels very narwhal to me. I know a few narwhals. It feels like that's exactly the sort of thing they would do.
I mean, they do love a fondue.
They love a fondue. I know, a very tricky thing to have in the sea, but they do it. They do it every time. So, yeah, that makes sense. And I suppose I should also ask. We're assuming here Palpatine Boring does go to the beach based on the 2-part question. But you obviously talk to cheese. How could you recommend Palpatine Boring gets to hear cheese talking if they haven't been able to do it so far?
You've just got to make cheese relaxed.
Right.
You've got to say to the cheese, hello, Mr. Mrs. Cheese, Senator Cheese, whatever their preferred nomenclature is. Mr. Brie.
Yeah.
Maybe they'll let you use their first name, Elaine Wensleydale.
Right.
Not all Wensleydales are called Elaine. I just met one called Elaine.
Sure.
Just rest assured, I'm not going to fashion you into a sculpture. You are going to be useful and get in my belly. And that really relaxes them.
That's nice. That's really nice. And would they? Might you get slightly more interesting topics of conversation that way, or still the same?
I think
Really
it's
boring chat.
certainly true that it'll be slightly more interesting, but I cannot promise anything fascinating coming out of a cheese.
Wow. But at least, hey, I suppose that isn't what Palpatine Boring, as we said, they are boring. They haven't asked that the cheese give good conversation. They just want to know why cheese can't talk. And I think there, Tom, I'm sure that having listened to this, they will now be engaging cheese in many a conversation, possibly not by the beach, but
yes. So I mean, that's the question here. Why haven't cheese spoken yet?
Fantastic. Well, listen, thank you, Tom. Not only have you enlightened us so much on the acting profession, on charts and indeed admin, but hopefully Palpatine Boring has listened to this and you've changed their life.
Yes, and I think I've hopefully highlighted a little bit what scientists really need to focus on in the next few years, and that's who's eating the crab sculptures.
Very important, very important. I hope we get there. Now, listen, Tom, thank you so much for your time. And I just wondered, what have you got coming up then in the next 40 to 50, possibly even 80, 90 years ahead?
Oh, I plan to keep growing in every direction.
That's interesting.
I'm going to be a little bit taller, a little bit wider, and a little bit deeper.
Wow!
Every year. So that's my plan. I'll also keep growing my hair and nails.
Gosh, so you're gonna. I mean, how big do you think you're gonna get by the sort of let's say in 80 years' time, you're going to be quite big.
Yes, I want to aim for about 8'7" tall.
Right.
About 5 foot deep.
Right.
And 6 foot wide.
That is going to be quite the sight. Well, listen, I look forward to that, and I wish you all the best with growing in every possible way. I hope your nose hairs sort of go all the way down to the floor, and that you can enjoy all the benefits that come with that. Yeah.
Yes, yeah. All the fame and glory from a Guinness World Record for a nose hair.
Well, exactly. Who wouldn't want that? I tell you. Well, thank you, Tom. Good luck with your growing, and it's been a pleasure to have you on the show.
Thank you, Tiernan. Do be right.
Household items. Hacks to survive a power outage.
Thanks so much to Thom Tuck for having time away from his illustrious acting career to help answer Palpatine Boring's very important question about cheese. Palpatine Boring, I do hope you liked your answer, and if not, please do send any complaints you have on some cheese, and I will eat it so I never have to see them. If you have a question that you need to have answered, please do get your nearest piffle gronks, grown-ups, to help you email me at podcast@comedyclub4kids.co.uk. And if they'd like to support this show happening, then they can sign you up to the advert-free Linda edition, which comes out one day earlier too. And they can do that at Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Acast Plus, or patreon.com/Comedy Club for Kids. And if you like having this show in your ears or played directly into your knees, then please do tell other nonsense people that you know to give it a listen too. Thank you very much. Now, you'll be pleased to know that my eyes have finally adjusted to the darkness, and actually, it's okay, I can sort of make out where things are, and it's kind of calm and relaxing having the lights out like this. I think I'm just going to sit down and enjoy it. That's better. That's so bright, it's terrible. Huh? What's this? The lights are back on, but I'm in a pond? Where is Comedy Club for Kids HQ? What's happened? I need to call someone, maybe Linda, to find out what is going on. Where's my phone? There it is. No, bye. You have been listening to Comedy Club for Kids Presents. Radio nonsense, radio nonsense, radio nonsense, radio nonsense, radio nonsense. It's the end.